Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be when you realize who the narcissist is. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So the narcissist, by now you've figured out who they are, and it's probably not just one person. It started with one person. It started with the person who abused you, who manipulated you, who trapped you, who tricked you, who sold you a bill of goods, and who got as close to you as they possibly could. Maybe even married you, or moved in with you, or went into business with you. Maybe the narcissist is your adult child. Maybe it's your parent. Maybe it's your best friend of 30 years. Maybe the narcissist is your next door neighbor. You didn't know who they were before because you were not taught this in school, so you weren't awakened to the fact that there are different levels of toxicity on the planet that have 2 feet and walk just like you do. You thought everybody that you had encountered was similar to you, and that they had your best interest at heart, and that they cared about you, and they had the same hopes, dreams, aspirations, or that they were listening to you and they wanted the best thing for you. Well, you now know that the narcissist is an apex predator, and what they want to do is slither into people's lives. They want to mysteriously pop up, and they want to act like they're the victim, or that they're so knowledgeable, or they're so holy, or that they have the solutions to your questions or your answers. And then as soon as they get what they want, now it's too late. Enter the devaluation stage, the trauma bond, or whatever tether that connected you to the narcissist. And that tether usually is an invisible tether. There are 4 ties that must be cut to remove yourself from the toxic narcissistic individual: the emotional, the financial, the physical, and the spiritual. And 3 of those 4, or 2 of those 4 I should say, are physical, which means the physical and the financial. The emotional and the spiritual, those are things you can't touch, but yet you feel them. And the narcissist knew this. Having said all those things, when you finally figure out who this toxic person is you're considering, and that they never loved you, they never cared about you, that they were envious of you, they were jealous of you, maybe they wanted to be you, but above all, that they had a master plan that they were going to administer to get as close to you and keep you on the hook as long as they could use you as that supply source. Each and every narcissistic relationship has an expiration date. You're understanding that now. Some last for a couple minutes, maybe a cab ride. Some last for a couple hours, maybe a seminar. Some last for a day, maybe it's a day trip. Some last for a weekend, maybe it was a weekend holiday. Some for a week, again, maybe a vacation. Some for a month, maybe you were a tourist in some different location and you were staying with somebody for a month. Maybe it was a year or longer. But each and every one of these relationships comes to an end. And the longer you get in these narcissistic relationships, meaning the more time you stay in them, the more the narcissist learns about you. They study you. They learn which buttons to press, and they begin to pepper you with abuse. And as they do that, they slowly, insidiously peel off the mask, layer by layer by layer. And you may be saying, because perhaps this is the first video you're consuming, what is the mask? What is Andrew talking about? The mask is the charade, it's the facade, it's the house of cards, it's the illusion that the narcissist was selling people. It's them batting their eyelashes at you, showing you their pearly whites, acting like they're so holy, or acting that they know so much and they can really help you. But behind the scenes, the wheels of abuse are spinning, the wheels of manipulation are turning, and they're saying, yep, another one just entered the web of abuse. I will take my time with this one. I will slowly bleed them dry of their energy, of their relationships, of their health, of their money, their time, their purpose, and more, because they'll never know what hit them. And once I take whatever I want from them, enter discard, and now I'll go off to a new source of supply, or a recycled source. But that person, which was you most likely, it certainly was me, will be left reeling because you didn't know what narcissism was. You weren't taught this. So how could you know that the person that perhaps you walked down the aisle with and actually married and raised their kids would turn out to be your nemesis, your arch enemy, a person who was trying to take from you and destroy your life, and hopefully, perhaps, you would end your own life. Sorry, I said it. I've waited almost 5 years to say it, but that's what the narcissist wants. They don't want people existing. They don't want people shining higher than the sun, the moon, and the stars. They don't want people telling the truth. They don't want people exposing the toxic narcissistic behaviors. They don't want people putting themselves back together second by second, minute by minute, day by day, and longer. But that's what I've done. And again, January 6, 2021 was the most challenging day of my entire life. You could say it was October 29th, 2020, and you could say it was other days, but every single day in the narcissistic relationship, it's not what you think it is when you're in it. It's what it really is, which is death by 1,000 paper cuts. And when the narcissist decides to pull the rug out from under you, meaning discard you or end the relationship, and you don't know what you're up against, you are very vulnerable, you are isolated, you are naive, you are confused, you're bewildered, your support system is blown up, and your mind is gone. When I say the last part, what it means is, if this was you, you should drop comments below. What it means is you're in the trauma bond. You were thinking that your abuser was the savior to your life. You were thinking that your abuser would right all the wrongs. You were thinking that your abuser would come back and make everything better. Well, that's not reality. What reality is, that person slowly crept into your life under the guise of caring about you, under the guise of being similar to you and assimilating themselves with you. And once they took whatever they took, they now had a different plan for a different part of their life. They would jettison you in that relationship, and they would go on off to wherever they went, slithering away, if you will, to other sources of supply who maybe you knew about, maybe you didn't. Point being is, they were now taking everything they could from another person because they had taken everything they could from you. Again, when you finally realize, or when you realize who the narcissist is, it's too late, because their claws or their fangs or their grubby little paws are already sunken into you. And this is a debilitating, life-threatening, challenging experience, to say the least. It took me approximately 3 weeks post-discard to figure out what narcissism was. I could not wrap my head around what had just happened. The implosion of my life, the implosion of my support system, and the implosion of my mindset and my money and so much more. Well, I was diligent, I was resilient, I was focused, I was determined, and I leaned into what I was taught in my youth, which is you don't give up. You don't ever give up. And you figure out what it is you're up against, and then you work your way through it. Well, that's what I had to do when I was younger, and I'm certain that's what you've had to do. And that's probably what you're doing right now. But again, when you're dealing with narcissism and you don't know what it is, and the discard took place, you're reeling, you're missing the abuser, you're in the trauma bond, you don't know what's going on, and you're left on an island in an ocean of abuse all by yourself. When that happens, it takes an awful, strong person to figure out what had happened, step one. Number two, to figure out what narcissism is, step two, and that's what this video is about. And to put yourself back together, step three. The whole while realizing and recognizing that you will have to get that person out of your life eventually, and that that person never served you, and that all of the good times you were thinking about, maybe ruminating about, or trying to unwind in your mind, they weren't as good as you thought. And let's say that you had 10 good times in that relationship. You probably had less than that, but let's say you had 10. Well, that doesn't account for or even out the 10,000 bad times you had, and it doesn't even out or account for all of the emotional abuse you went through, all the sleepless nights, all the parental alienation, all the counter-parenting, not co-parenting, all the verbal abuse, the financial abuse, the walking around on eggshells, the gaslighting, the triangulation, the projection, the financial abuse, if I didn't say that, and so much more. You were a perfect person for the narcissist to target. I don't say that lightly, but I can say it because so was I. And notice I said the past tense, were and was. We are not targets any longer, because now we have boundaries up. We know who the narcissist is. We know what they did. We know what they're capable of. And above all, for this video, we know it's not just one person. The narcissist you're considering, they came at you, or the toxic dark energy source or force came at you in that person's human form, which is known as a body or a vehicle. But the dark energy is all over the planet, and it will continue to come at you day after day, week after week, month after month, as long as you are still keeping avenues of communication open with the toxic entity. Now, I don't say the entity lightly. I'm referring to toxicity, to narcissism. That's why once you figure out who these people are, and for this video, once you realize who the narcissist is, you need to go no contact. You need to block them. You need to delete them. You need to remove them and all flying monkeys and people associated with them. If not now, when? If you've identified that the person you're considering is toxic, maybe even narcissistic, what are you waiting for? They are not miraculously going to come knock on your door and tell you that they love you, they miss you, and that they've totally made an about face or a 180 and they've healed. And even if they did do that, they're lying through their teeth, because these people can't heal. They can't introspect. They don't want to. It would be too painful for them to actually dig within themselves, which is why the narcissist can't introspect, they can't be accountable, and they can't be authentic or genuine, which again is why they crumble up people like sheets of paper, throw them away in the freeway, and wash, rinse, repeat. Go off to a new source of supply, or a recycled source of supply, or a even worse or more nasty or toxic narcissist, or worse. This is what they do. Once they take the best of somebody, they discard that person or keep them strung along on a hook in an ocean of abuse with dozens of other people on different hooks tethered to the same person, which is the narcissist. That's why you must understand this is your life. It's not a movie. This is your life. It's not a miniseries. This is your life. It is not anything other than to be lived authentically, genuinely, and toxicity free. The tethers of the narcissist, the tentacles of the narcissist, and all of the dark energy, it was all around you. You never even knew it. And what did you do despite that fact? You kept on doing the best you could. You kept on taking the high road. You kept on doing the right thing. You kept on putting out the fires that they were starting intentionally, because you didn't know what you were up against, but yet that speaks volumes to your dedication, your determination, your resilience, your commitment, and your lack of empathy and abundance. The narcissists did their best to extinguish you, as I shared earlier in the video. They failed. They failed miserably, because you're here. You're unlike every other source of supply they had ever encountered. Some of those people are not here, I am certain. Others are probably still trapped and stuck and blaming themselves. Others haven't figured out what narcissism is. And then there's a very small microcosm of people, and I am one of them, and you are too, whether you know it or not, if you made it this far in the video, that have healed or will heal, or who are healing, and we put ourselves back together. We dust ourselves off by the bootstraps. We rise through the ashes like a phoenix and ascend higher than ever thought imaginable. Where we go to is a place called the mountaintop, the pinnacle of indifference. That is what is known as rarefied air. That's where I am right now, reaching my hand down to lift you up and to pull you up to where I am. And I've helped thousands, tens of thousands of people get there. I can help you too, because the collective consciousness on this planet called Earth is changing. It's evolving. It's growing. We are no longer tolerating poor behaviors we used to tolerate before. We now know and realize who the narcissist is. We can now recognize toxicity from a mile away. We now know what the signs are, the gaslighting, the being hung up on, the being walked 30 feet in front of, the being verbally abused, financially abused, the having rage fits thrown on us. We now know what when somebody says to us, oh, I just need a girl's weekend away. It's no big thing, wink, wink. Or I need a guy's weekend away, wink, wink. Or I just need time and space. One of the most important things ever told to me post-discard was I just need time and space. What do you think that means? I'll tell you what it means. It means I need more time to groom the new supply, to have them take your shoes while you're flailing, still in love with me, and I'll twist the knife in deeper and keep you stuck in that hellhole. Yes, I said it 2 out of 3 days now. Didn't think I'd say it again, but I did. But guess what? When I heard those famous words, I just need time and space, I was shocked. The knife was twisted in me deeper than ever, but there are way more things that were said to me than that. And guess what I did? I went back to the place where I was abused, and I kept on working on myself, realizing that what that meant wasn't what the words were said were. What it meant was, yeah, I'm going to keep you stuck as long as possible. As long as you're still pining for me, as long as you're still in love with me, as long as you're still thinking about me, I'll use that as an excuse so I can groom the other source of supply, and I can keep the knife twisted in you and leapfrog from you to that person. This is what these creatures do. This is what these parasites do. That's why when you realize who the narcissist is, you need to get away from them as far and as fast as you possibly can. They know what they did. They know what they're capable of, and they know that they're envious and jealous. They also know that there's a bottomless pit within them that can never be filled for any length of time. They also know that they're loyal to nobody, they don't care about anybody, and they will go through life like a walking tornado, destroying anybody's life who gets too close to them. Beautiful bells ringing, bells of abundance. The thing is, back then you didn't know what you know now, and now that you know it, you need to not tempt fate. You need to not, and I mean not, leave any avenue of communication open with the toxic person. You need to have a small footprint. You need to heal properly, and understand that you are the priority. You come first, second, and third, and that there is no room in your life for toxicity now or in the future. Truth be told, there wasn't room in your life in the past, but you didn't have the wisdom. Now you have the wisdom, and with this wisdom is a great responsibility. And with the great responsibility, it is a superpower. It's a superpower on steroids once you understand that you're out of the cycle of abuse. You've healed, or you're healing. You're a fortunate individual. You're unlike most people on this planet will ever be, because you were in that relationship and you made it out in one piece, and it's changed you forever. In the early days, the dark days, you didn't think that you would make it out perhaps, or you didn't think that you would ever be able to fall in love again, or have a beautiful afternoon. Well, once you realize that those dark days, they do pass, the more work you place into yourself, the more you realize who the narcissist really is, and the further you get away from them, then you realize those doors get kicked wide open for you, and you can do whatever you want to, whenever you want to. This is when you've healed and healed properly. Until then, continue to focus on yourself and understand you didn't know what you know now. Now you do. Now the onus is on you, and now you need to insulate and protect yourself. Begin today, if not now, when? So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the dark Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. I love you all. God bless you. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm going to close it because this is getting really dark. I just want to share with you, when you realize who the narcissist is, that's a very pivotal period of time. You need to understand and trust your instincts and intuition going forward. That person never cared about you. They didn't love you. All they did was try their best to destroy you, your life, your relationships, and everything that mattered to you. But they didn't succeed. You may have thought they succeeded, but they didn't, because there are brighter days ahead of you. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Bye. It's getting dark here in Carolina.